parents, if you are watching this video, then that means you have received your students' end of grade test results in the mail. And I just wanted to make this video to touch base with you over the summer and kind of explain the results and how we got them and how they're going to affect your student in the next year. So go ahead and take out the test results and we're going to go over them kind of together. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me or feel free to email the school. Alright, so on the top left, you have your reading score, and on the top right, you have your mathematics score. And the reading score is on top of the entire reading column, so everything under the reading score is related to the reading section of the exam. And then everything under the math, of course, is related to the math section of the exam. So your scale score, what that means is that's an indication of how many questions your student answered correctly. And then that, in turn, determines the achievement level. Achievement levels go from 1 to 4, 1 being the worst, 4 being the best. And then you have the percentiles, which basically tells you how your student ranks against the students who took the test during the year that the data was collected. So for reading, the data was collected in 2008. So if your student was in the 80th percentile, say, then your student did better than 80% of the people who took the exam in 2008, which is pretty good. And then the next part is the yes or no section. Did they meet the gateway standards for reading or for math? And that basically means, did they meet the standards needed to pass the grade? And if it says yes, you're good to go. You don't need to worry about it. Your student's going to be moving on with no problems. And if it says no, or if your student received a score of 1 or 2 on the achievement level, then you might be getting some additional correspondence from the school or from me or from the system just to see how we're going to proceed and how we're going to best serve your student in the year to come. Alright, if you look down below those 4 little blurbs, we have some weird looking charts, and basically that's just a mathematical representation of your students' scores and how they relate to other scores and themselves. So the first section, the student section, basically shows where your student score lies, and it also shows the achievement levels of 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then the white rectangle, is how your student may have done with a different test on a different day or just under slightly different circumstances with the same amount of knowledge. So it's about like the middle 2/3 of the possible scores. And for the school line, you have your student's scores represented by an open diamond, and then you have a line which represents the middle 2/3 of the scores of the students in the school. So where your student lies in that line is basically how they rank up to the average students in the school. And same with the system and the state. And those should have the years of when the data was taken so that you know how your student is doing. And again, with the math, it has the exact same criteria, but slightly different information because they were tested separately, so therefore you might have different results. And if you notice that your student did a lot better in math than reading, or a lot better in reading than math, that's something you can think about working on over the summer. You can work on just exposing them to more books and having them read aloud to you, or have you read aloud to them. Or you can get them some math worksheets online, or just encountering math in your everyday lives, and that could help them with just some basic refreshers over the summer, and then when they go next year, they will be a little better off. Alright, and then at the bottom of your reading section, you're going to have what it says, the student's reported Lexile level, or Lexile score. And that is a score that's determined by their scores on the test, and it's basically their reading level. And while that doesn't really mean much to you and your book choices, it will impact us next year when we start out teaching them and we're trying to pick books that are on their level. We're going to look at that Lexile level so that we can start out knowing where they are. And then as they grow through the year, they're going to progress, and that Lexile level might change. And then in the math section, you have the scores and the goals for a different criteria. You have calculator active, calculator inactive, and a couple other subcategories that you can see how your student ranked and what they might need to work on over the summer. Alright, that's just about it. It breaks down the biggest parts of your score breakdown that you received in the mail. Like I said, if you have any questions, email me, email the school district, and we will work together to make sure that your student scores are accurately represented and that you are able to understand everything that the EOG test has to offer. Have a great summer.